Hello, romance writers. Welcome back to Write with Heart. I am Jenna Harte, and today we're going to be talking about breaking into romance ghostwriting. Now, along with my own writing, I am also a ghostwriter. So a question I get asked a lot is how and why I became a ghostwriter and how does it work? So today I thought I would share with you how you can become a romance ghostwriter. I'll cover the skills that you should have, how to find ghostwriting work, and how to have a successful relationship with your client. So first of all, let's define what a ghostwriter is. A ghostwriter is basically a professional writer, usually a freelancer, who is hired to write works that are officially credited to another person. There are several key aspects of ghostwriting, one of which is anonymity. The ghostwriter's identity is usually kept confidential. There's also collaboration because in most cases, the ghostwriter is going to work with their client to ensure that the material aligns with what the client wants in terms of voice, style, and message. There's also how compensation works. Ghostwriters are typically paid for their services as a contractor through a flat fee or a per word rate or a per 1,000-word rate, and in some cases they can earn a percentage of royalties from book sales. Then there's expertise and adaptability. Successful ghostwriters possess strong writing skills, but they also need to adapt their writing style to match the tone and voice of the credited author or to the types of books that the client wants the ghostwriter to write. Then there's confidentiality, because as a ghostwriter, you're going to work under agreement where you cannot disclose that you are the writer of the particular works that you're creating. Sometimes I get asked about why a writer would want to be a ghostwriter as opposed to writing their own books. And there's a variety of reasons why a writer might do that. It could be they just want to be a freelancer and don't want to write their own books. It could be they want to make some income from writing as they work on growing their own author career. Really, it's up to the writer to determine why they would like to be a ghostwriter. But the flip side to the question about why someone would want to ghostwrite is, why would somebody want to hire a ghostwriter, especially to write romance? The answer to that is that a person who hires a ghostwriter isn't really a writer. They're more of an entrepreneur. Think of it this way. If somebody wanted to open a widget shop but didn't know how to make widgets, they would have to hire somebody to make the widgets or at least find a source of widgets to sell. Entrepreneurs who want to get involved in publishing but don't want to write, or maybe they don't know how to write, they have to do the same thing. They have to find writers to create the books for them to sell. So I wanted to add a little sidebar here because we know AI is a big topic, and one of the questions is, will AI replace ghostwriters? Now, I'm of the opinion that this could be possible, although at the present time, AI-generated fiction still isn't as good as human-generated fiction. And those people who are using AI to write know how to prompt very well, and they know how to revise very well. It's also important to note that entrepreneurs hire other people because they can't do it or they don't want to do it. They don't want to invest the time. And the same could be true in terms of learning how to be a really good AI prompter to develop fiction. With that said, if they could save money and time, they might hire an AI expert who could write the books and have that expert also be skilled at revision to help them create the books. And I want to add here too that You should not use AI to do your writing for you for your ghostwriting client. You can use AI to brainstorm ideas or to help you plot, but when it comes to the writing, your client is hiring you because you are the quality expert writer. So the question is, can you earn a living from ghostwriting romance? Now, the truth is, if you are in this to make a lot of money, you would have better results by ghostwriting nonfiction, as those types of content earn a great deal more. In terms of making a living ghostwriting romance, it might be tough depending on how much you need to make and how much the job you get pays. The other thing to consider is that because the work is generally on a contract or freelance basis, the income and the work may not be steady. What you can earn as a ghostwriter depends on a few factors, including experience. Beginning ghostwriters will generally earn less than the more experienced ones. Then there's the market demand, and the more demand there is, the more you can actually get paid. And in fact, there are several courses out there that teach other people who want to make money in romance by publishing, talks to them about hiring ghostwriters. So for a time, there has been a great deal of demand for quality ghostwriters. Then there's the specifics of the project. The rates might change depending on if a great deal of research is required, maybe there's a higher level of creativity or originality, and of course, the turnaround time. Payment can also vary depending on who's employing you. For example, if you're working through a company that offers ghostwriting services, you're often going to earn less than if you're hired directly by the client. On the other hand, if you were hired by a publishing company as like a spec writer, it's possible they could pay more. Now, in terms of the pay rate for the actual book itself, it can be calculated in a variety of ways. The most common way that I see ghostwriters are paid in the romance area is per word or per page rates, or maybe per 1,000 words. The rates can range from about 1 cent to 10 cents per word, maybe more for experienced writers. The most common rate I see is around the 2.5 cent per word rate. The rate I see when it's calculated using per 1,000 words is generally $15 to $20 per 1,000 words. You might be offered a flat rate fee for your writing, but in general, I've noted that a lot of times the calculations are still based on a per word amount. So you might be asked to write a 80,000 word novel where you are paid $1,600, which comes down to about 2 cents a word. Royalties and credit. Now, I have never actually seen this in romance ghostwriting, and so I suspect it's highly unlikely. You're being paid to write a book, you write it, you get paid once, and that's it. But if you are highly valued, you might be able at some point to negotiate a share of the royalties from the book sales. This situation would be more likely if you were hired by a small press or publishing house to write for them. Now, along with getting paid to write the book, there are some other things that you can get paid to do as the ghostwriter. You can get paid for the plot, and you can also sometimes get paid for writing the blurb. For either of these, you'll usually receive a flat rate fee of anywhere between $50 and $150. So now let's talk about the knowledge and skills you need to have to be a successful ghostwriter. It goes without saying that these clients are hiring professionals, which means you need to know how to write well, and in particular, how to write a romance. You should know a little something about writing to market because we're talking about clients who are entrepreneurs. So the romances you're going to be asked to write are going to be similar to ones that are selling well on Amazon. Now, in most cases, you don't have to do the actual research. Your clients are going to tell you the romance category and subgenre as well as the tropes they want you to hit. So for that reason, it's important that you understand what writing to market is, but that you also have an understanding of these books that your client wants to grab the same essence of. You can do that by reading the first pages of the book on Amazon, where you can get an idea of the tone and style, the point of view that is used, the tense that is used. You should also be able to plot, and personally, plotting is very difficult for me, but generally you're going to be asked to provide a document that outlines all the information about the characters, including their goals and conflicts, their demographics, and any other information. Provide a location that your story takes place in, a brief synopsis of the story, and ultimately a chapter-by-chapter outline. You may also need to have adaptability in the voice and style that you write in. As a ghostwriter, again, you're writing to market, which means you might be having to change writing a rom-com style to a dark mafia style. Part of that is also versatility in your writing style, such as being able to switch between first person or third person, or present tense and past tense. That also includes tailoring your writing to the subgenres or tropes that you're writing for. So if it's a historical romance, it should be accurate. If it has suspense, you need to be able to write with a great deal of tension and suspense. If you're looking at ghostwriting as a new career, you're going to have to learn how to write frequently, steadily, and with very short deadlines. Most clients who are hiring ghostwriters in the romance genre, they want to release books fairly frequently. That could mean writing a book every 3 to 6 weeks. That means you would need to be able to write anywhere between 70,000 and 80,000 words in 3 to 4 weeks. In order to write that quickly, you should be able to write anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 words a day. And before those word counts scare you away, let me share a couple tips on how to write faster. Now, you're going to have a plot whether you write it or your client supplies it to you, and I suggest you write from it. You can get a plot that allows you a little bit of latitude to go where you want to go, but is still tight enough that every time you sit down, you can start cranking out words and not be stuck. Learn to dictate. This can be awkward, but imagine getting 4,000 to 5,000 words in an hour, where normally it would take you 2 to 3 hours to type. Write every day, or at least most days. The more you write, the more the story stays in your head, the easier it is to get back into it when you sit down to write the next day. So here are some tips for working with clients. Understand what your client's expectations are, and I will admit that sometimes they have a difficult time telling you what they want. So be willing to ask questions and talk with them. Even ask them for some comp titles so that you can have a really good understanding what they're looking for. Maintain open communication. Let your client know what is going on. Sometimes they may ask you to report in at certain pacing points, but even if they don't, be in touch with them every few days to let them know where you are in the story and what's going on. Work very hard to meet your deadlines. Generally, your client is going to have a production schedule, and if you are late getting that book in, it's late to the editor, it's late going to publishing. So it's very, very important that you respect the deadlines, and if you have any difficulty doing that, to let your client know as soon as possible. Make sure that you respect the confidential nature of your work. You're going to be asked to sign a contract, and part of that contract is that you are agreeing to produce this work and relinquish all your rights to it and allow somebody else to take credit for it. This means that you can't tell anybody, including your family, the books that you have written as a ghostwriter. It also means that you can't list the work in your portfolio. And of course, it goes without saying that you should be providing high quality writing, really emotional books that readers are going to enjoy. Now, it's possible that you're going to get feedback during the course of the writing, or maybe when you finish the book, and you need to be open to receiving constructive criticism and be willing to make changes based on what the client wants. To help guide you and so that you and your client know what to expect from each other, make sure that you have clear agreements and a contract. Generally, your client's going to supply that, but if they don't, have one that you can give to them. Stay up to date with genre trends and with the market, because remember, again, your client is an entrepreneur and they are actively working to create something that they know the market wants. So by keeping up on it, you can make sure you're delivering that. The best way to develop a steady ghost writing career is to build a relationship with your client or clients, so that they're happy with you and they want to keep asking you to write for them. Make sure that you stay organized so you can keep track of all your client communications, notes, drafts, and deadlines. And this is particularly important if you were working with more than one client at the same time. Now, in a minute, I'll tell you where you can find these jobs, but before you go out and start looking for them, there's a couple things you need to figure out or put together. The first is deciding what type of romance do you want to write. Can you write a variety of subgenres and tropes, or do you want to narrow down into only clean romance or maybe only paranormal romance? Create a resume that has information about writing experience you might have, particularly if it is in the romance genre. Next, you want to put together a writing sample. You can just sit down and make one up and write it, or you can pull a sample from something you've already written. One place you can go to look for work are with companies that provide ghostwriting services, and they hire ghostwriters to provide them. There's many out there, but the two that I've heard the most among people who hire romance ghostwriters is Hot Ghostwriters and the Urban Writers. The next thing you could try are the freelance platforms. This would be like Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer.com, and Reedsy. Another option is to check out job boards. These could be general job boards or writer-oriented job boards. For example, I found my ghostwriting job on ProBlogger's job board. You can also consider networking with authors, publishers, literary agents, and other writing associations. These places might know of or even might be hiring writers to help them. To read a text version of this video, plus to get links to the job resources, you can do so by checking out writewithheart.com, and I will have a link to that in the description below. And whether you want to be a ghostwriter or you want to write your own romances, I hope that you will check out Write with Heart. It is a free online community for romance authors. We have lots of tips and information on writing romance. You also can create your own profile, access a growing library of tools and resources. You can create your own blog. You can join groups. I share weekly tips and industry news. We have a weekly Zoom call for support and a whole lot more. All you have to do is visit Write with Harte and join for free. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I do hope that you found it interesting and informative. Until next time, this is Jenna Harte wishing you peace, love, and happily ever after.